Okay, so backtracking here. We are
Yeah.
live. When you read Robin McKinley out loud,
hmm
you drop half the ands?
She uses and as a transitional word a lot more often than any other author. And when I'm reading it in my head, it has a rhythm to it. And Erin knew that blah da blah and blah 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 and blah 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 and blah da blah and blah 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 and all of that works really well in my head. And when I'm reading it aloud, I just put commas in because all of those ands start to sound repetitive, especially in your own voice. Like and. Maybe if I had a more mellifluous voice, it would work, but
Your voice is plenty mellifluous. Although not when you're going and.
Yeah.
If we'd had any viewers, that moment would have been when we lost them. Because we were slightly out of sync and both making a very irritating noise.
Sorry, everyone who will watch this in some misty future because they want to know how we got here. Welcome to 2020. Someone posted, I can't remember in what group, but they posted a hypothetical question. And since I used to live on hypothetical questions when I was a Denny's rat, I love these things. I eat them up. And the question was, what 3 things would you bring back from fiction? And one person was like, well, a TARDIS, like the Wonder Woman whip and the One Ring. And I'm like, the One Ring? The thing was, like, it wouldn't change the story, but you would like be able to visit the world and bring this item back into our world. And I'm like, the One Ring? I don't know that somebody doesn't already have that, the way people are behaving.
That, and like there's an entire book about why that you shouldn't do that.
It's a terrible idea. I was like, so what I typed in was the One Ring was garbage. But the 3 things I would bring back from fiction would be the 3 elven rings. And I would give, let's see, what was it? Nenya is the ring of adamant that aids in preserving. I'd give it to Greta Thunberg. And the ring with the red stone that Gandalf has was Narya, which gives hope to the depressed and makes one a great leader. And I'd give that to, I don't know, Bernie Sanders. And the 3rd one is Vilya, which is like the most powerful one, and it can make you an amazing healer. I was like, give it to Anthony Fauci, and I was like, there's a liberal agenda for you.
Now I'm thinking about what 3 things I'd bring back from fiction.
Yeah, it's a great question. I love it. I mean, I stuck to Middle-earth because I had to make that point about how the One Ring is crap, and why would they skip the good ones?
Well, also, like, sincerely, the entire series is about how if you want power to, like, do good things with, the One Ring is not it.
That's not, yeah. As we have discussed at length, it will corrupt every one of your intentions and turn it to evil and the dominion of others, etc., etc.
This is like that thread where someone's like, if you like someone, you should give them a really cool rock. And someone put a picture of the Arkenstone. And someone else was like, 1 rock? Why not 3? Why not Silmarils? And the comment was, I'm pretty sure there's an entire book about why not Silmarils. And every time I think of the Silmarillion now, I think, why not Silmarils?
Oh, speaking of obscure quotes, Hup was begging for love this evening, laying on his back and fawning all over Jason's feet. And whenever he does this, I say, don't take away the love, the sweet potholder love. And then I laugh, and everyone just looks at me, because this is a quote from Mystery Science Theater.
Which one?
I can't. Okay. So it's the one where Pearl decides to do an experiment on them before the movie, where she withholds love from them. She's like, I'm withholding it now. And they're like, We don't feel any different. And the observer says, no, you have to give love and then withhold it. And she's like, love, 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 love. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, this is my box of love. And it's this random assortment of crap, like a dozen pot holders and a coffee filter and like a figurine of Elvis, whatever. She sends it up there and they have it, and then she takes it away. And then the robots panic. And Mike's like, stop torturing them. And she's like, fine, take it. I don't even care. And they send it back. And Crow, the next time you see him, is covered in the pot holders going, sweet pot holder love. And I can't remember what movie they watch after that because that's the most quotable moment ever. But apparently I'm the only one who's seen it. So it's kind of sad because I quote it and then it's like crickets.
I'm pretty sure I haven't watched that one with you.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, I'll find it. Remind me. I went to start a conversation today with someone who was getting really aggro on Facebook, and I went into a private messenger to be like, I seriously didn't mean to trigger you. Like, this is where I was coming from. We've known each other 25 years. Like, cut me some slack. You know me better than this. And I opened up our messenger, and back in February, she asked me to design a tattoo. And I'm like, well, that didn't happen.
I mean, the world's been ending. It's been pretty absorbing.
Yeah, but it's not just that. My memory sloughs things anymore, especially that kind of thing that used to nag at me. Like I used to have the list of shit I had at least promised and not delivered. The list is gone. So those of you who have paid for art, you're getting it. Everyone else, I'm sorry, just contact me again because it's missing. And this is a thing I could do in an afternoon. Like, it's a really pretty tattoo design. She's the first person who ever got my art tattooed on her deliberately. Like, she has a fairy on her back that I designed. Like, I wouldn't piss her off.
This is why I just don't argue on the internet.
I didn't even argue. I just said something about what's the source for that information. And I said, do you want to source it, or should I go look it up? Like, because I don't want to be lazy over here. Do you want me to go look it up? And she came back with like, of course I will find the source when I have a minute. And she took it as patronizing. I wasn't trying to be patronizing. So
did you guys sort it out?
I don't know. She hasn't contacted me back, but I put out the old college try. I can't feel any bad about it anymore. I've got enough bad to feel.
Yeah, we're all under a lot of stress. No one should be worrying about these things. Arguing on Facebook is like so far down the list of things to be concerned about.
I don't like it that it could be a tool for such good, and it is such a tool for such evil.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me a little bonkers.
Yeah.
Like watching someone use an antique dollhouse as a drug deal drop-off spot. It's like, guys, this should be so wholesome.
I have never really considered Facebook as equivalent to an antique dollhouse, but
No.
I see where you're going.
It has that potential, though, to be something you look at and go, yeah, this connects us to each other. It connects us to the past. It's such a great tool to bring us all together. And instead it feeds us algorithms that tear us all apart. Like, I have no idea if all the liberal shit I read that makes perfect sense to me isn't completely doolally because I don't have any dissenting voices in my world, and that worries me. I don't like it. I'm pretty sure that my liberal shit is as right as it ever was, which is fairly. But there's no way for me to know.
Well, she's gone forever. Probably kidnapped by gnomes. What a shame. I really hope I'm wrong about that. Welcome back.
Hi.
I
keyboarding my tablet. Sorry, everybody.
I told them you were probably gone forever and kidnapped by gnomes.
Gnomes, how? The Zuckerberg gnomes. They realized I figured out their bid for world domination.
Oh, I don't think that's a secret.
Oh no, that's
all right. The 2 towers. Saruman was being a thought. Yes?
This is iridium. We mostly find it in space dust, hence the asteroids. I might have to vanish for a minute at some point to go get my sketchbook because it had a lot of information in it and I forgot to bring it down.
Cool. That's fine if you need to. I definitely thought the asteroids were bubbles, but I also know they don't have any details yet.
Exactly. Yeah. No, they are merely sketched out as to location. Ugh.
All right. Gimli had just determined that Saruman was like and yet unlike Gandalf, if you would.
Right. Yes.
But come now, said the soft voice. 2 at least of you I know by name. Gandalf I know too well to have much hope that he seeks help or counsel here. But you, Theoden, Lord of the Mark of Rohan, are declared by your noble devices, and still more by the fair countenance of the House of Eorl.
Ooh. All the compliments.
Hey, girl.
Hey, pretty boy.
You are declared by your noble devices.
As well as your fair face. You sure do got a purty mouth.
O worthy son of Thengel, the thrice renowned. Why have you not come before, and as a friend? Much have I desired to see you, mightiest king of western lands, and especially in these latter years, to save you from the unwise and evil counsels that beset you. Is it yet too late? Despite the injuries that have been done to me, in which the men of Rohan, alas, have had some part, still I would save you and deliver you from the ruin that draws nigh inevitably, if you ride upon this road which you have taken. Indeed, I alone can aid you now.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Yep. Theoden opened his mouth as if to speak, but he said nothing. He looked up at the face of Saruman with its dark, solemn eyes bent down upon him, and then to Gandalf at his side, and he seemed to hesitate. Gandalf made no sign, but stood silent as stone, as one waiting patiently for some call that has not come. The riders stirred at first, murmuring with approval of the words of Saruman, and then they too were silent, as men spellbound. It seemed to them that Gandalf had never spoken so fair and fittingly to their lord. Rough and proud now seemed all his dealings with Theoden, and over their hearts crept a shadow, a fear of a great danger, the end of the mark in a darkness to which Gandalf was driving them, while Saruman stood beside a door of escape, holding it half open so that a ray of light came through. There was a heavy silence. It was Gimli the dwarf who broke in suddenly. The words of this wizard stand on their heads, he growled, gripping the handle of his axe. In the language of Orthanc, help means ruin and saving means slaying, that is plain. But we do not come here to beg. Peace, said Saruman, and for a fleeting moment his voice was less suave, and a light flickered in his eyes and was gone. I do not speak to you yet, Gimli Gloin's son, he said. Far away is your home, and small concern of yours are the troubles of this land. But it was not by design of your own that you became embroiled in them, and so I will not blame such part as you have played. A valiant one, I doubt not. But pray you, allow me first to speak with the King of Rohan, my neighbor, and once my friend. What have you to say, Theoden King? Will you have peace with me, and all the aid that my knowledge, founded in long years, can bring? Shall we make our counsels together against evil days, and repair our injuries with such good will that our estates shall both come to fairer flower than ever before? You gotta admire the balls on Saruman.
He's got balls.
Because he is standing there in like the literal ruin. Like his house is a puddle.
Yeah, and he just unleashed 10,000 orcs to destroy these people, and now he's like, "Hi, how are you? Why haven't you come over earlier? Have a cookie."
Right? It's so good to see you. We should hang out sometime.
Yeah, handsome, where you been? Come on. Like, yep, ballsy.
Still, Theoden did not answer. Whether he strove with anger or doubt, none could say. Eomer spoke. Lord, hear me, he said. Now we feel the peril that we were warned of. Have we ridden forth to victory, only to stand at last amazed by an old liar with honey on his forked tongue? So would the trapped wolf speak to the hounds if he could. What aid could he give to you, forsooth? All he desires is to escape from his plight. Will you parley with his dealer in treachery and murder? Remember Theodred at the fords, and the grave of Hama in Helm's Deep. R.I.P. Hama.
Yeah, I miss you, Hama. And incidentally, in case the murder of your son wasn't enough, there was also that other guy.
Right. Can we also just agree that if Hama had been here, he would not have had anything to do with Saruman? He would have been like, "Nah, I don't like this guy.
Nope.
My instincts tell me he's bad."
Right. Not only is he bad, but I think he's going to do something about the Shire. Somebody go protect the Shire.
Right? It's, Lord, my heart misgives me. What of the land of the halflings, is what Hama would have said.
Yes. Damn it, Hama. Why you gotta leave us?
If we speak of poisoned tongues, what shall we say of yours, young serpent? Said Saruman, and the flash of his anger was now plain to see. But come, Eomer, Eamond's son, he went on in his soft voice again, to every man his part. Valor in arms is yours, and you win high honor thereby. Slay whom your lord names as enemies, and be content. Meddle not in policies which you do not understand. But maybe, if you become a king, you will find that he must choose his friends with care. The friendship of Saruman and the power of Orthanc cannot be lightly thrown aside, whatever grievances, real or fancied, may lie behind. You know, whatever grievances may be real, maybe that time I sent 10,000 orcs to genocide you.
Right?
You know, little things. You gotta just leave that all behind, man. Why are you holding on to it so hard?
Right? And you might have made it up. Just think about that. That might have just been a major misunderstanding. They may have wanted 10,000 cups of sugar.
Right? Like, are you sure that the orcs really were there? Are you sure you didn't just dream that, though?
Saruman, ultimate gaslighter.
Sincerely.
Yeah.
Let's see. You have won a battle, but not a war, and that with help on which you cannot count again. You may find the shadow of the wood at your own door next. It is wayward and senseless, and has no love for men. But, my lord of Rohan, am I to be called a murderer because valiant men have fallen in battle? Yes, actually, yes. Quite. You started the battle.
Yeah.
Like, it's your fault, though.
It's your fault. It's the thing you did. Yeah. You didn't have to fight me. You could have just submitted and died.
Have you considered that this would have all been much easier if you guys had just died like I planned? Really, you should be apologizing to me.
Yeah. You've really inconvenienced me. Look at my house.
What's that meme? Well, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. But my lord of Rohan, am I to be called a murderer because valiant men have fallen in battle?
Mhm.
If you go to war needlessly, for I did not desire it,
I just
then
wanted
men will be. This bitch. I swear to God.
to.
Then men will be slain. But if I am a murderer on that account, then all of the house of Eorl is stained with murder. For they have fought many wars and assailed many who defied them. Yet with some they have afterwards made peace. None the
Oh,
worse. Hmm?
none the worse for being politic. No, this one of the things that keeps coming up in my feed is beware false arguments, and one of the biggest ones is the bad things we do aren't that bad because of the bad things other people have done. Let's focus on that instead. I can't remember what it's called officially, but that's like been a rallying cry for Sean Hannity and his Nazi ilk for ages. And I'm like, oh my God, he just did it.
He just did it.
Yeah.
Can I also mention, by the way, that those asteroids look really cool?
Thank you. Wait. Yeah, there we go. Ha. A little less bubbly.
Yeah, they look very asteroidy now.
Good word.
Meteory?
Meteoric.
They look very 3D.
3D! All right. So, yeah, none the worse for being politics. Sorry I interrupted. That just struck me real hard.
Yeah, well, we gonna have a lot of that as long as we're with Sauron.
Yeah.
I say, Theoden King, shall we have peace and friendship, you and I? It is ours to command. We will have peace, said Theoden at last, thickly and with an effort. Several of the riders cried out gladly. Theoden held up his hand. Yes, we will have peace, he said now in a clear voice. We will have peace when you and all your works have perished, and the works of your dark master to whom you would deliver us. You are a liar, Saruman, and a corrupter of men's hearts. You hold out your hand to me, and I perceive only a finger of the claw of Mordor, cruel and cold. Even if your war on me was just, as it was not, for were you 10 times as wise, you would have no right to rule me and mine for your own profit, as you desired. Even so, what will you say of your tortures in Westfold and the children that lie dead there? And they hewed Hama's body before the gates of the Hornburg after he was dead. When you hang from a gibbet at your window for the sport of your own crows, I will have peace with you and Orthanc. So much for the house of Eorl. A lesser son of great sires am I, but I do not need to lick your fingers. Turn elsewhither, but I fear your voice has lost its charm.
Yeah.
The riders gazed up at Theoden like men startled out of a dream. Harsh as an old raven's their master's voice sounded in their ears after the music of Saruman. But Saruman for a while was beside himself with wrath. He leaned over the rail as if he would smite the king with his staff. To some, suddenly it seemed that they saw a snake coiling itself to strike. Gibbets and crows, he hissed, and they shuddered at the hideous change. Dotard, what is the house of Eorl but a thatched barn where brigands drink in the reek, and their brats roll on the floor among the dogs? Too long have they escaped the gibbet themselves. But the noose comes, slow in the drawing, tight and hard in the end. Okay, buddy. Let's take about 10% off for there.
Yeah.
Hang if you will. Now his voice changed as he slowly mastered himself. I know not why I have had the patience to speak to you, for I need you not, nor your little band of gallopers, as swift to fly as to advance, Theoden Horse Master. Long ago I offered you a state beyond your merit and your wit. I have offered it again, so that those whom you mislead may clearly see the choice of roads. You give me brag and abuse. So be it. Go back to your huts. But you, Gandalf, for you at least I am grieved, feeling for your shame. How comes it that you can endure such company? For you are proud, Gandalf, and not without reason, having a noble mind, and eyes that look both deep and far. Even now will you not listen to my counsel? Do you think the fact that Gandalf has one of the elven rings is why he's immune to Saruman?
That's part of it, but he also really does he leveled up. Saruman has never leveled up.
Yeah, no, it's true, but I was thinking about like before when he was imprisoned by Saruman, like, and couldn't be persuaded by him.
I think that totally has it could have something to do with it, but I was just reading up on the Three Rings, and Narya doesn't. Well, yeah, it might shield you from manipulation. It might just do. It's mostly meant to be like a bringer of hope kind of energy, but that may well be related to incorruptibility.
I mean, it would almost have to be. If you can be persuaded into despair, you can't bring hope.
Yes. That is a really good point. Let's leave it to the judges. Maybe someday someone will comment, and when they do, I hope they weigh in on that topic.
Indeed. Even now will you not listen to my counsel? Gandalf stirred and looked up. What have you to say that you did not say at our last meeting? He asked. Or perhaps you have things to unsay? Saruman paused. Unsay? He mused, as if puzzled. Unsay? I endeavored to advise you for your own good, but you scarcely listened. You are proud and do not love advice, having indeed a store of your own wisdom. I mean, the sad thing is he's not wrong about that.
Yeah.
But on that occasion you erred, I think, misconstruing my intentions willfully. I fear that in my eagerness to persuade you, I lost patience. By that I mean I imprisoned you in a tower and possibly tortured you. I forget if he tortures him or not, but
I don't think it's brought up, but we can assume that it wasn't pleasant.
Yeah. You know, when you get impatient with someone and you just imprison them and beat them up and try to force them to become your servant. Yeah. Like you do.
Like you do. Totally understandable. I was impatient.
And indeed I regret it, for I bore you no ill will, and even now I bear none, though you return to me in the company of the violent and the ignorant. How should I? Are we not both members of a high and ancient order, most excellent in Middle-earth?
Most excellent.
Most excellent.
Most excellent.
Our friendship would profit us both alike. Much we could still accomplish together to heal the disorders of the world. Let us understand one another and dismiss from thought these lesser folk. Let them wait on our decisions. For the common good, I am willing to redress the past and to receive you. Will you not consult with me? Will you not come up? So great was the power that Saruman exerted in this last effort, that none stood within hearing were unmoved. But now the spell was wholly different. They heard the gentle remonstrance of a kindly king with an erring but much-loved minister. But they were shut out, listening at a door to words not meant for them. Ill-mannered children or stupid servants overhearing the elusive discourse of their elders, and wondering how it would affect their lot. Of loftier mold these two were made, reverent and wise. It was inevitable that they should make alliance. Gandalf would ascend into the tower to discuss deep things beyond their comprehension in the high chambers of Orthanc. The door would be closed, and they would be left outside, dismissed to await allotted work or punishment. Even in the mind of Theoden, the thought took shape like a shadow of doubt. He will betray us. He will go, and we shall be lost. Then Gandalf laughed. The fantasy vanished like a puff of smoke. Saruman, Saruman, said Gandalf, still laughing. Saruman, you missed your path in life. You should have been the king's jester and earned your bread and stripes, too, by mimicking his counselors. Ah, me! He paused, getting the better of his mirth. Understand one another? I fear I am beyond your comprehension. Burn!
Yeah. Yeah, Gandalf's nugging sometimes is so good to listen to.
Sometimes he nags people who deserve it. And that moment when Saruman's like, you and I are both above these little folk. Let us understand one another. And Gandalf goes, bitch, I'm beyond your comprehension.
Right. Also, your stripes are the beatings. Like, you should have earned your hat and your beatings.
We haven't gotten there yet. I don't think. Oh,
No,
you
did. Yeah.
earned your bread and stripes too. Oh, yeah, I was not even paying attention to that. I was trying to get my Gandalf voice back because I'd been in Saruman voice for too long. Understand one another. I fear I am beyond your comprehension. But you, Saruman, I understand now too well. I keep a clearer memory of your arguments and deeds than you suppose. When I last visited you, you were the jailer of Mordor, and there I was to be sent. Nay, the guest who has escaped from the roof will think twice before he comes back in by the door. It's also a pretty good one.
That's a good line.
Nay, I do not think I will come up. But listen, Saruman, for the last time. Will you not come down? Isengard has proved less strong than your hope and fancy made it. So may other things in which you still have trust. Would it not be well to leave it for a while? To turn to new things, perhaps? Think well, Saruman. Will you not come down? A shadow passed over Saruman's face. Then it went deathly white. Before he could conceal it, they saw through the mask the anguish of a mind in doubt, loathing to stay and dreading to leave its refuge. For a second he hesitated, and no one breathed. Then he spoke, and his voice was shrill and cold. Pride and hate were conquering him. Will I come down? He mocked. Does an unarmed man come down to speak with robbers out of doors? I can hear you well enough here. I am no fool, and I do not trust you, Gandalf. They do not stand openly on my stairs, but I know where the wildwood demons are lurking at your command. The treacherous are ever distrustful, answered Gandalf wearily. You need not fear for your skin. I do not wish to kill you or hurt you, as you would know if you really understood me. And I have the power to protect you. I'm giving you a last chance. You can leave Orthanc free if you choose. That sounds well, sneered Saruman, very much in the manner of Gandalf the Grey, so condescending and so very kind. I do not doubt that you would find Orthanc commodious and my departure convenient. But why should I wish to leave? And what do you mean by free? There are conditions, I presume. Reasons for leaving you can see from your windows, answered Gandalf. Others will occur to your thought. Your servants are destroyed and scattered, your neighbors you have made your enemies, and you have cheated your new master, or tried to do so. When his eye turns hither, it will be the red eye of wrath. But when I say free, I mean free. Free from bond of chain or command, to go where you will, even to Mordor, Saruman, if you desire. But you will first surrender to me the key of Orthanc and your staff. They shall be pledges of your conduct, to be returned later if you merit them. Saruman's face grew livid, twisted with rage, and a red light was kindled in his eyes. He laughed wildly. Later! He cried, and his voice rose to a scream. Later? Yes, when you also have the keys of Barad-dûr itself, I suppose, and the crowns of 7 kings and the rods of the 5 wizards, and have purchased yourself a pair of boots many sizes larger than those that you wear now. A modest plan, hardly one in which my help is needed. I have other things to do. Do not be a fool. If you wish to treat with me while you have a chance, go away and come back when you are sober, and leave behind those cutthroats and small ragtags that dangle at your tail. Good day. He turned and left the balcony. Come back, Saruman, said Gandalf in a commanding voice. To the amazement of the others, Saruman turned again, and as if dragged against his will, he came slowly back to the iron rail, leaning on it, breathing hard. His face was lined and shrunken. His hand clutched his heavy black staff like a claw. I did not give you leave to go, said Gandalf sternly. I have not finished. You have become a fool, Saruman, and yet pitiable. You might still have turned away from folly and evil and have been of service, but you choose to stay and gnaw the ends of your old plots. Stay then, but I warn you, you will not easily come out again. Not unless the dark hands of the east stretch out to take you. Saruman, he cried, and his voice grew in power and authority. Behold, I am not Gandalf the Gay Gandalf the Gay, ha! Gandalf the Grey, who you betrayed. I am Gandalf the White, who is returned from death. You have no color now, and I cast you from the Order and from the Council. He raised his hand and spoke slowly in a clear, cold voice. Saruman, your staff is broken. There was a crack, and the staff split asunder in Saruman's hand, and the head of it fell down at Saruman's feet. At Gandalf's feet. Go, said Gandalf. With a cry, Saruman fell back and crawled away. At that moment, a heavy shining thing came hurtling down from above. It glanced off the iron rail even as Saruman left it, and passing close to Gandalf's head, it smote the stair on which he stood. The rail rang and snapped. The stair cracked and splintered in glittering sparks, but the ball was unharmed. It rolled on down the steps, a globe of crystal, dark, but glowing with a heart of fire. As it bounded away towards the pool, Pippin ran after it and picked it up. The murderous rogue, cried Éomer, but Gandalf was unmoved. No, that was not thrown by Saruman, he said. Not even at his bidding, I think. It came from a window far above. A parting shot from Master Wormtongue, I fancy, but ill-aimed. The aim was poor, maybe, because he could not make up his mind which he hated more, you or Saruman, said Aragorn. That may be so, said Gandalf. Small comfort will those two have in their companionship. They will gnaw one another with words. But the punishment is just. If Wormtongue ever comes out of Orthanc alive, it will be more than he deserves. The lesson here is don't leave your enemies with each other.
Right?
Like, just don't. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
Here, my lad, I'll take that. I did not ask you to handle it, he cried, turning sharply, and seeing Pippin come up the steps slowly, as if he were bearing a great weight. He went down to meet him, and hastily took the dark globe from the hobbit, wrapping it in the folds of his cloak. I will take care of this, he said. It is not a thing, I guess, that Saruman would have chosen to cast away. But he may have other things to cast, said Gimli. If that is the end of the debate, let us go out of stone's throw at least. It is the end, said Gandalf. Let us go. They turned their backs on the doors of Orthanc and went down. The riders hailed the king with joy and saluted Gandalf. The spell of Saruman was broken. They had seen him come at call and crawl away dismissed. Well, that is done, said Gandalf. Now I must find Treebeard and tell him how things have gone. He will have guessed, surely, said Merry. Were they likely to end any other way? Not likely, answered Gandalf, though they came to the balance of a hair. But I had reasons for trying, some merciful and some less so. First, Saruman was shown that the power of his voice was waning. He cannot be both tyrant and counselor. When the plot is ripe, it remains no longer secret. Yet he fell into the trap and tried to deal with his victims piecemeal while others listened, which was actually really dumb.
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't given a lot of choice. That's why he kept trying to get one or the other of them to come up.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, buddy, come up here where no one else can hear what I tell you. You're my favorite, really.
Ooh, you right there. Yeah, buddy.
You, friendo?
I wouldn't have said this in front of the others, but you fine.
Then I gave him a last choice and a fair one, to renounce both Mordor and his private schemes, and make amends by helping us in our need. He knows our need, none better. Great service he could have rendered. But he has chosen to withhold it and keep the power of Orthanc. He will not serve, only command. He lives now in terror of the shadow of Mordor, and yet he still dreams of riding the storm. Unhappy fool! He will be devoured if the power of the East stretches out its arms to Isengard. We cannot destroy Orthanc from without, but Sauron, who knows what he can do? And what if Sauron does not conquer? What will you do to him? Asked Pippin. I? Nothing, said Gandalf. I will do nothing to him. I do not wish for mastery. What will become of him, I cannot say. I grieve that so much that was good now festers in the tower. Still, for us things have not gone badly. Strange are the turns of fortune. Often does hatred hurt itself. I guess that, even if we had entered in, we could have found few treasures in Orthanc more precious than the thing which Wormtongue threw down at us. A shrill shriek, suddenly cut off, came from an open window high above. It seems that Saruman thinks so too, said Gandalf. Let us leave them.
If this were a sitcom, they'd all share a hearty laugh over that.
And there'd be like a down.
Yes.
It's the Sharky and Wormy show. Starring Saruman the White, Grima Wormtongue.
And with a special guest appearance from the last remaining orc in Isengard.
I will cast you down, Wormtongue, and make your bones into dust. Oh, Sharky. Down, take it down. Oh, God, I hate it so much.
Did you bring me my sandwich, Wormtongue? I brought it, Lord. You forgot the mayonnaise.
Oh, man. We had a problem come up at work today, and I was like telling one of my coworkers about it because it was like in his wheelhouse or whatever. And he was already working on it. And he was like, we're so in sync, we finish each other's. And I went, sandwiches.
You're like, I've waited my whole life for someone to say this.
My whole life. It was a good feeling.
Did he laugh? Tell me.
I mean, we weren't face to face. It was in chat, so I think so. He posted a like exploding head emoji.
Okay.
I think that's a good thing. Let's see. Oh, right. We had left them to their sitcom soundtrack, filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Yes.
Except not really, because
something at them, Wormtongue. Yes, I did, Lord. Well, what did you throw? That ball thing. My Palantir. Wah wah.
That's my impression of a laugh track.
It's about as convincing.
God, I tried to rewatch AbFab when it got on Netflix, and the laugh track was so distracting I couldn't get into it.
It's so rough. I have that problem with like original Addams Family shit.
Mm-hmm.
That just that whole era, it's so awful. But anyway, so
I hear they released some of them on DVDs with like an audio track that doesn't have the laugh track, and that I would like to see.
I will see if I can find that sometime because
I don't know if AbFab is one of them. I just know like some old sitcoms they do that with.
Cool.
All right. They returned now to the ruins of the gate. Hardly had they passed out under the arch when from among the shadows of the piled stones where they had stood, Treebeard and a dozen other Ents came striding up. Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas gazed at them in wonder. "Here are 3 of my companions, Treebeard," said Gandalf. "I have spoken of them, but you have not yet seen them." He named them one by one. The old Ent looked at them long and searchingly, and spoke to them in turn. At last he turned to Legolas. "So you have come all the way from Mirkwood, my good elf? A very great forest it used to be." "And still is," said Legolas, "but not so great that we who dwell there ever tire of seeing new trees. I should dearly love to journey in Fangorn's wood. I scarcely passed beyond the eaves of it, and I did not wish to turn back." Treebeard's eyes gleamed with pleasure. "I hope you may have your wish ere the hills be much older," he said. "I will come if I have the fortune," said Legolas. "I have made a bargain with my friend that, if all goes well, we will visit Fangorn together, by your leave." "Any elf that comes with you will be welcome," said Treebeard. "The friend I speak of is not an elf."
Show. I'm sorry. Just...
Okay, but wait for it, because we're going to do a soundtrack thing in just a second. "The friend I speak of is not an elf," said Legolas, and the crowd goes, "I mean Gimli, Gloin's son here." Gimli bowed low, and the axe slipped from his belt and clattered on the ground. "Oh,
Ooh.
Gimli!"
Ooh.
Down, 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 down. This is slowly becoming yakety sax every time I do it.
That's the easiest one to do.
It is. "Ah, no," said Treebeard, looking dark-eyed at him. "A dwarf and an axe-bearer." Why is everybody so racist to Gimli? It really bothers me.
I don't know. Maybe so that he can convince them not to be. How many people does he how many people's minds does he change about their assumptions just by being himself?
Yes, but a person shouldn't have to be a model minority in order for other people not to be racist to them.
He is the Geordie LaForge of Middle-earth.
I don't know what that means.
Oh yeah, you didn't grow up on TNG, did you? If you go back and rewatch Star Trek TNG, there's LeVar Burton plays Geordie LaForge, and he, in every episode he's in, he is the ambassadorial voice for any new creature or race that they come across. Not on purpose. He's actually in the engine room all the time. But everyone manages to meet him, and he manages to give a great impression of the Federation just by being himself. Even if they had doubts about the Federation to begin with, Geordie changes their mind. He even makes a friend with a Borg that ends up being a huge plot point, like, for the next 1,000 years. Just because he's like him. Other nerds will know what I'm talking about. We'll leave it at that.
I have goodwill to elves, but you ask much. This is a strange friendship."
Now. No judges.
"Strange it may seem," said Legolas, "but while Gimli lives, I shall not come to Fangorn alone. His axe is not for trees, but for orc necks, O Fangorn, master of Fangorn's wood. 42 he hewed in the battle." "Oh, come now," said Treebeard. "That is a better story. Well,
Yes.
well, things will go as they will, and there is no need to hurry to meet them. But now we must part for a while. The day is drawing to an end, yet Gandalf says you must go ere nightfall, and the Lord of the Mark is eager for his own house." "Yes, we must go, and go now," said Gandalf. "I fear that I must take your gatekeepers from you, but you will manage well enough without them." "No, you won't."
Nope.
"No, you won't."
Spoilers.
We're pretty close to the end of the chapter, but I'm also really tired, so we're going to leave it there.
Right.
We have like a tiny bit of this chapter to finish up tomorrow. Or Monday, rather. Next time.
Next time. So, iridium is a lot more prevalent in space rocks than in Earth rocks, which is why she's an alien.
Alien.
And apparently,
Whoa.
like 1940s sci-fi movies, because that's seriously some Myrna Loy hair.
Well, you do watch a lot of 1940s sci-fi movies because you watch a lot of MST.
Indeed, I do, and I have to find the one that's got the sweet potholder love so that I can share the joy.
Indeed. Just punched myself in the microphone. And not on purpose. I just went to move my hand, but I forgot that it was on this side of my face. You know how you do.
Oh, no, I don't. My face is free.
No, it's more to the mirror image in the video. Like, for example, how I just was like, this way is the high fit. No. This way.
I'm getting better.
Hey!
Our house refinancing came through, and now we're talking about putting in a new floor in the dining room. The dogs are gonna hate it. They love to tear around the rooms when they're playing, and they're just gonna skid, and it's gonna be the funniest shit ever until they get used to it. But I hate carpet in a dining room.
I mean, there is a certain amount of like dropping food on it, one might say.
All of the time, and liquids get spilled on it, and
yeah. All right.
I love you.
I love you too.
I'll see you Monday.
Yes, indeed.
And cuidado.
Lianas.